From KVUE News in Austin, you're watching Texas This Week with Ashley Goodo.
Thank you for watching Texas This Week. Texas voters have 1 week left to cast their ballots early for the March 3rd primaries. This morning, we're hearing from U.S. Representative Jasmine Crockett amid her bid for the U.S. Senate. But first, let's get to the 3 things you need to know in Texas politics. The Republican candidates for Texas Attorney General went head-to-head in a debate in Dallas Tuesday. State Senators Joan Huffman and Mays Middleton, former DOJ Attorney Aaron Wright, and Congressman Chip Roy made their case to voters. You can watch a full replay of the debate on our streaming service, KVUE+. A big moment for Texas Democrats on Thursday. Veteran and union leader Taylor Ramett was sworn in as the first Democrat to represent Senate District 9 in more than 30 years, flipping a district President Donald Trump won by 14 points in 2024 in a special election. Senator Ramett will finish out former Senator Kelly Hancock's term, serving for the next 11 months when the legislature is not in session. He and Lee Williams-Gans, who he defeated last month, will face off again, running for a full term to represent North Texas in November. Texas Senator Roland Gutierrez is demanding transparency from the Department of Public Safety about state resources being used for immigration enforcement. The San Antonio Democrat sent an open records request to DPS. He wants the agency to hand over documents about immigration enforcement strategies targeting Latinos, recipients of DACA, and school children. He also wants to see communication between DPS and federal agencies or the governor's office concerning immigration enforcement among those groups. Last February, Governor Greg Abbott said DPS was embedded with ICE on operations across the state. Many voters are still weighing their options as they decide who they will cast a ballot for in the March primaries. Perhaps the biggest decision for Democratic voters lies at the very top of the ticket, the race for the U.S. Senate. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett and State Representative James Tallarico are battling it out for their party's nomination. Both are traveling across the state to get their message out to voters. The Congresswoman stopped by our sister station in Dallas to talk with me about her campaign. You know, there are various polls that show the race between you and State Representative James Tallarico is close. What would you say is the major difference between the two of you?
You know, right now you have the choice between someone who is untested and frankly does not have the experience that we need in this moment on this level. I am the only one that currently serves on the federal level. The other day, I was in a deposition as it relates to the Epstein files. Most people don't understand, but we go into depositions every once in a while. My 20 years of trial experience helps the constituents in the state of Texas, not only when it comes to crafting legislation, but when it comes to making sure that those judges that are going to get lifetime appointments, making sure that they are truly vetted by someone who has actually practiced in those courts. But also when it comes to these very important investigations that may lead to people actually being incarcerated, as we just saw Prince Andrew, who just got arrested on today. We know that there is so much value that comes with the type of experience that I bring. And the final point that I'll make is that as someone who started her political career in rural East Texas, I know what it is to live in rural Texas. I know what it is to live in urban Texas. And so we will continue to go and pound the pavement throughout all of Texas. And that's what it's going to take. And the final point, because I'm a PK, so that means we got to close a few times. The final point that I'll make is that we need somebody who is a proven fighter in this moment, someone who will not back down, someone who will not fold. And I can tell you that my track record is clear. I have always fought for the people that I represented, and I've never folded.
There is a PAC running ads here in Austin, I'm sure all across the state, that talks about you in a way that, you know, it claims you're the Republican pick for this, and that there are some, you know, there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes to get you into this position. Talk to us about that PAC and that ad.
I think is really interesting because really a centerpiece of my opponent's campaign has been no PAC money, and we have to get super PACs and dark money out of campaigns. And then it is a dark money PAC that is not engaged in lifting him up, but tearing me down. I think that tells you where we are either in this primary as it relates to the numbers, or I think that it tells you where we are as far as the type of campaign that maybe my opponent wants to run, which is one of tearing down a qualified Black woman. I will tell you that, these are the laws, and so it is completely allowable under the current laws. It's just not necessarily, to me, in lockstep with the words that my opponent is delivering. Earlier today, a reporter asked me how I would respond because he was asked about why he hasn't denounced the super PAC or denounced the darkening of my skin, which is taking place. I know you referenced the video, but even when we look at the mail pieces that they've sent out, which historically has been one of those ugly things that we typically see from the Republicans. So as it relates to Republicans tricking me, that's just insane. The Republicans have never tricked me into anything a day in my life, number one. Number two, what I tell people is to follow the money. We know that while the Republicans say one thing, we know that Governor Abbott decided that he would go up on broadcast TV to do ads. And who is he doing ads against? He's doing ads against me right before my primary, and he's actually running those ads in rural Texas. Now, why is it that the governor would spend over $1 million a week doing ads against me when, first of all, I'm not in his race, and second of all, if I'm the candidate that you really, really want, then why would you do that, right? You want me to get into the general election. The same thing about the fact that why would anybody broadcast who it is that they actually want to run against? I have been very quiet about who I have a preference to run against, to be perfectly honest. That just seems like bad strategy. And so, it is what it is. We are going to focus on the issues, and we are going to continue to talk to Texans, because I hate when you have all of this other noise. It is the noise and distractions that got us to where we are. It is also the complacency and the lack of bold vision that got us to where we are. We need to be aggressive. We need to be tough. We need to be fighters in this moment as our democracy hangs by a thread. And that's what I'm going to focus on.
Final thoughts for our viewers as we head to March 3rd.
Yeah. I know that times are tough. I do this work because I know how bad it is. And if you are looking at it from your vantage point, I don't even want to tell you what I'm saying from my vantage point. I know what it is to fight in this environment. I know the types of risk that come along with that. I know that I will never, ever back down or fold. You don't have to worry about where I'm going to be when it comes to voting rights or whether or not I'm going to show up. I've been showing up every single day for my job in DC, while also showing up and asking for your vote and your support. I'm asking that you block out all of the extra noise, whether it's super PACs, whether it's outsiders in New York or DC, because we're Texas. And frankly, we always have said, don't mess with Texas. And so we as Texans need to make our own decision, and we should make that decision based on qualifications. As a 20-year licensed attorney who is licensed in both Texas and Arkansas, who has practiced in both state and federal courts, who owns her own small business, who started off as a county party chair in rural East Texas in Bowie County, Texas, who has lived in both rural and urban Texas, who understands the struggles and also understands how to get things done in DC and does not have to worry about a learning curve whatsoever. We need to send the most experienced person to DC. And no matter who it is that I have to match up with when it comes down to that general election, I will be ready. On the other side, if it's one of the two leading candidates, they are both attorneys. So will I be. If it's one of the other two candidates, you've got one that's on the federal level that I actually work with. So I know what he is and isn't doing. And I can check him in real time because we are both in DC working just across the chambers. If it comes down to being our attorney general, then that means you have a candidate who is on that stage and is more experienced, because I would be the only one with any federal experience in the race in the matchup between the two of us. Recent polling has me up over Kim Paxton. It is not the first poll. I'm asking you to trust your gut on who it is that you know will fight for you even when you're asleep. Go out, cast your votes. Let's get this done, Texas, because we can do it.
Remember, this is the last week that you can cast a ballot early. Early voting ends February 27th. Election day is March 3rd. That's Texas This Week.